Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Logistical Nightmare Racing Community Tuesday night special. Back in the mix as we currently at the moment just sitting in board of a KTM driven by Stephen Kearney, finishing up his warm-up session at the moment. So I'm gonna go with it's been a while. But I wasn't gonna go and say, you know what, apologies. Last week was one of those hit and miss for me because I wasn't really available to do any streams. I did commit to streaming this whole season. Tentatively forgot about last week. Again, just went out for a bit of camping, holiday, relaxation, fun in the sun and weather storms. But nonetheless, we are back this evening into round 3. Now, I would have never thought in seeing GT4 cars on a track like Monza, but this is where we are at the present moment. GT4 Championship at LNR, kicking it off on a Tuesday night. Now, sorry, I do have to just get all my ducks in a row here because the individuals are about to set their qualifying laps. Quickly out of the box there is Mr. Bauer with his Porsche there. Phenomenal purple / pink rims on his bonnet. And I think this time around I am fairly certain, yes, that the PWSR liveries are looking fancy and sexy. Ferrara, they're also out the pits with these Audis. So while these guys are getting their warm-up sessions in June, again, 10-minute qualifying session for them, 2 back-to-back races of 20 minutes each. They gotta set up a decent lap time for them to get them off the go. Now, from experience, I would believe turn 1 and turn 2 is going to be the demise of a certain race driver. Again, being sim racing itself, it doesn't matter what sim racing you do, where you race on, and when I say way, I'm going what platform you do. Ideally, the unfortunate side of it is that turn 1, turn 2, followed by the second chicane is where most of the disasters do occur. Whether individual drivers have mag mounts of respect to each other or whether they do try and give each other as much space as possible, that is where everything goes horribly wrong. This, as I try to roll my tongue out of there. And of course we've got Lesmo 1 and 2 that is always fun to watch because people do mess it up down there. And then of course all the way through Ascari and Paribolica. Tongue twisters this evening, so I can't even pronounce things properly. Okay, so looking at Bauer at the moment, going through the first aces, very smooth. Did sound like he was slightly slow on the throttle heading out to turn 2. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him, but I don't think that's gonna fade him that much. The driver does want to pull away but goes back into his racing line to see if that obscures his driving techniques. No, still makes 100% certain that he can get onto the throttle there immediately. Enters into Lesmo 1, taking as wide exit as he can, getting all of the track position there. Les 2, not as much as what he would have done through Lesmo 1. Whoever is ahead of him seems to be very determined not to fall behind him. It doesn't seem to fade out Bauer at this moment. Now again, I'm just on Bauer because he's probably the guy ahead of everyone else, going to set the penultimate qualifying lap. Gets a bit on the curbs there through Ascari. Now that might have deterred him a little bit. Heading into the final long left-right-hander, the famous Parabolica. Does he hit the apex, full exit on the throttle, get as much speed as he can in that Porsche GT4? Let's just see what he sets up at the moment. A 158.8. They said, and those tires are still warming up. Track-wise, Mayer at this moment, from a standing point of view, is up by half a second. So Mayer is the man in front of him. Ferrari, on the other hand, was quick there, not quick enough to out-qualify Power. Sean Skidder, on the other hand, breaks it with his BMW. Now these GT4 BMW boys are quick down the straight, so I would definitely be surprised if I don't see them in the top 5. As you can see, Chris Dos Santos there also bringing it up in the close top 5 with his BMW M4. I have been told that the KTM boy cars is the quickest car on this track. Whether that is true, that is to be determined. Looking at Steven Kernick at the moment, he is down on pace, so must have made a mistake here or there. Plenty of work for him still to do, so I don't think this is going to be one of his best. Howard, on the other hand, is making big moves here. He's currently about 7/10 up his previous pace. If he manages to push that out, just get that Ascari out properly. Beautiful exit there, far less bumpier than what he did on the previous lap. That puts him up by about 8/10 quicker than what he was in his previous section. So I think if he can pull this off in Parabolica, you should be able to get a 57, high 57s. Now this all depends on his exit at Parabolica. Does he manage to pull off a pole? Yes, he does, but simultaneously Mayer puts it smack down in the middle as well. So Heinrich Mayer, there is it Heinrich? Let me not. Henry Mayer, apologies, it's Henry Mayer. Puts it on pole, the man who was determined not to let Bauer past him when he exited the pits to warm up his car track. He is the man currently in pole. Fairly good exit there on the first sector. Alan Patterson, on the other hand, with his Aston Martin, he is up by 6/10 heading into Parabolica. Finally get that livery beautifully sorted out. I think the last time we saw that it didn't look proper, but that is definitely a brilliant representation of the PWSR team. Bringing it in full swing, 4th position for him at the moment, less than 3 minutes to go. Any other big hitters here? Everyone's trying to fight ball position. Neil Bullion in his blue and orange Genetto. Now, gotta admit, that is quite sexy though. I don't know what it is about that blue. It's not normally a blue I would go for, but the combination of that blue with the orange and a hint of black just looks so good. I reckon that's a good color scheme right there. Again, he drives for his team, calling LNR and nailing walls. Up by 8/10 at the present moment. Van der Berg is up by a second as well. So as soon as I can switch over to Van der Berg, I will. Just keeping a close eye on what Bullion is doing. He has got a far better exit there in Parabolica. Does that Genetto have the pace? That's the big question. Ooh, pulls it up into 1st place. Van der Berg, on the other hand, in the Porsche, he is still up by 1 second. He's heading into Ascari just underneath the bridge. Gets his line ready. Now it's all about how you enter. It's more about how quick you exit out of Ascari with as much speed as possible. Based on the delta, it doesn't look like he lost much. He actually gained a bit. So he is certainly going to climb the ladder with this lap. The question is, where is he going to sit? I reckon if he does follow through here, not lose too much speed, we can potentially see him in the top 5. Nope, must have messed that up. Something has gone horribly wrong there. Invalidated lap is what I would oppose has happened, even though the Delta has told me that he's done a better lap. Mayer, on the other hand, trying to improve on it. There's a bit of a battle brawling between himself and Bauer, trying to gain that top spot. Now they are technically about 2/10 quicker than anyone else on the field, which makes them a dominant force to chase down. Even from a championship point of view, I reckon from a championship point, where are these boys sitting at this stage? GT4 standings at the present moment. Duploy is leading, followed by Bauer, Alan Patterson, Schooler, Stradom, and Byron Kutsen. So those are your top 6 gentlemen fighting for the championships. Now, in all fairness, I don't see everyone on track at the moment, so it is what it is. Final few corners there for Mol. Van der Berg has got one opportunity to try and improve his lap time. Mol will go up by a little bit, but not much to make a big dent. Prius in 10th position with his Mercedes-Benz. He has got the KTM ahead of him, who has pulled away. Prius not making much of a dent though there. Gelfenberg was up on his time, but has lost still a significant amount there, so I don't think he's going to do much with this lap. Might bump a few ones. No, still in 12th. Will the man in the Mercedes climb a few spots? Doesn't look like he had the best exit out of Parabolica. Still in 10th, so there we sit. Happy days. In between, I want to see if we can get all this done. So, see. Hey, so I like doing this. Just get all this finicky, gritty things up here, bit of a positioning point of view. So, from a qualifying standpoint, we have Mayer in first place with his Porsche, followed by Bauer in a Porsche. Second. Third, we have Skutte in the BMW. Fourth, Chris DeSantos in car 501. Then, of course, we have Alan Patterson in his beautiful livery there with the PSWR logo on it. Again, let's just look at it. I'm going to go back just a little bit. I reckon that matte color mix is just beautiful. And I keep on complimenting it, so apologies if I do so, but I love good livery. Then we have Nel Bullion there in his Janetta in 6th place, followed by Serrano in the Porsche in 7th, Mol in the McLaren in 8th, then T. Ferrara, car 22 with the only Audi on track, in 9th, Prius in the Mercedes in 10th, and we've got R. Duplessis in 11th, followed by Kel van der Berg in 12th. Steven Kernick in his KTM in 13th, and I think that KTM can do a lot more, as well as P. Broadcaster in car number 10. So, couple of gents on track. See if I can get all this done. Helicam. Now, back-to-back 20-minute races. As I anticipate, I reckon these boys are going to have ultimate carnage, either turn 1 or turn 2, probably 3 and 4. In all fairness, from my standpoint, I honestly hope that there is absolutely none whatsoever, because, I mean, what are we here to watch? This is sim racing. We want side-by-side action, door-to-door fun, Bit of rubbing is racing is the aspect, as long as no one gets pushed off the track unnecessary, and some good, clean, good action. So, from Delta terms, where we sit, I reckon it's going to be a phenomenal race between Meyer Bauer. Now, I'm not going to discount Skitter there, because I do know that that man has got some good pace behind him. And that BMW is relatively quick once it gets up to speed. Whether it will outrun the Porsches, that is probably a tough task to ask. And then of course we have Chris Dos Santos not far from him, so 2 BMWs versus 2 Porsches in the top 4. Alan Patterson, Mr. Consistency in general, will most likely make a big dent in there as well, so I'm also not going to discount him purely based on his racecraft and means of how he always used to manage to get into the top 5. For some other weird reason, he just has the abilities to do so. And then of course Nel Bullion there, Mr. Mole, Serrano, Ferrano, Price, Duplessis, Vandenberg, Kernick, and BP Broadcast. Which is just an extra car. But nonetheless, it is there. Oh well, B Broadcaster, to be fair, let's not confuse everyone. This individual is Alan Patterson, but it's just an additional thing which he seems to be using for streaming purposes. Now, I am curious to have a squint and see how that man's stream is looking like. So I reckon he's got a secondary automated system that helps him stream other positions of cars. So I think that's not a bad idea. I wish we could do this more often though. Does make me wonder if it's really possible. I reckon if you got the equipment, you got the technology, you can probably do it. Nonetheless, that's what I have. I think it's what it is. 13 boys on track, 2 by 20-minute races. It is optimum, sunny, very hot, like 37 degrees for these cars. These boys must be suffering with tire wear shortly, but what can we do? It's a big sprint race. Anything goes, guns blazing. I'm honestly hoping that we will be cool, calm and collective and things goes very smooth. But I shall remain inquisitive. Okay, as these boys now try and line up where we stand, so they'll start getting side by side close contact aggressiveness, hinting for someone to kick off the race. But we will line up side by side. Tires will now slowly cool down. As you can see, the individual that got it in pole getting the grid all punched up. Skitter looking action and ready to kick it off. Everyone anticipating for a green light.
Green light, go.
And we're off to the tracks. Let's just see how this evolves. From the front end point of view, I can see the Ginetto getting a great start over there. Back of the line, everything looks vastly smooth. Side by side, potential 3 wide there. I'm going to open up the door here. Let's just get a good helicam. Great respect there so far showed. Oh, as I said, turn 1, turn 2 is where the action heads. Now, a Porsche was turned, but he did manage to get back onto it. I reckon that was Meyer that got caught off guard. Slight rear end tap there by one of the BMWs. I could be horribly wrong, but other than that, it looked vastly clean. Ooh, more contact, big contact between those two boys. I think that's a big misjudge. Audi in the mix, car in the mix, 3 boys broken into pieces. Bauer is the man that got away from it. So let's just see if we can go back in seconds. Look at the start. Bit of an interior view, side-by-side action, helicam. It was Mayer, so again, Skitter goes on the wide end, makes a slight touch to the Porsche, and then unsettles him completely. And as we follow Mayer, oh, who was it? It wasn't Mayer. It was Bauer. Follow Mayer. Another case contact where it's just him and the Audi that makes contact with one another, and they go colliding through the walls. That's got to be very upsetting, because now that Audi is back in the pits. He is really looking out, trying to fix things. Getting back into the race. This is lap 2. Big shenanigans in the first lap. Bauer is trying furiously hard to get away from the BMW. Now there's 2 chasing him down. Question is whether he can maintain it. Nel Bullion and Alan Patterson is also in the mix now. Bullion is behind his BMW. He is trying to hunt down that BMW with his right-hand drive Janetta. I reckon all he is thinking about at this moment is not to lose the slipstream. Losing slipstream is going to just cause him to lose a lot of pace. I don't think that Janetta has got enough straight line speed to keep up with the boys down the straight, but anywhere where there's corner, entry and exit abilities, he will be all over them. But again, being Monza, can you make moves down the corner? Mole on the other hand, he's in 7th at this stage. He's got Cal van der Berg hunting him down in the Porsche. Ferrara, he's in the pits. He had picked up severe damage there. Price still carrying on. Duplessis still carrying on. Mayer, even though he probably got a lot of damage on his car with the Porsche, but you can see it doesn't look very happy. But it does look like he is going to work very hard to nurse it through. Not a great start for him. I would say extremely unlucky. Yes, corner 1, there was a rear end tag by the BMW. Could that have been misforeseen? Ooh, very hard to tell from a sim racing peripheral viewpoint of view. But then going down the straight side by side with the Audi, I honestly believe they just did not. They saw each other. Whether they thought they had enough space to each other, that's the bigger question of it. And that slight tap just unsettled the Porsche completely, which then ended up collecting the Audi. So that's just, to me, it sounds like just a case of bad luck in general. I don't know what does everyone on the stream state. Your opinion will definitely be well received. I think it's just sadly 2 bad luck incidents. But then again, anything could have gone far worse from that point of view. So top 5 boys: Bauer, followed by Skitter, and of course we have De Santos and Bullion and Patterson chasing each other down. And I think Skitter is trying his utmost best to keep up with the Porsche, who seems to be a little bit out of his league at the moment as they're heading into Ascari. Gap at the moment is about 1.4 seconds. But even with the gap, it's all about how we finish the race. That is the key importance over here. William, on the other hand, just looks like he is trying to stay with that PM. And again, I still state that I don't believe that Janetta has got the straight line speed to take that BMW. Let's just see where we sit. Driver, interior. See, the BMW goes defensive. but you can also see how he's mitigating the gap. Look at that gap. In the final section of that straight, that Janetta has got absolutely no answer. As close as Nel Bullion wants to be to the BMW, it just seems like the BMW pulls away from it in that final few hundred meters just before the break point. Now, man, to keep an eye out is Alan Patterson, though, because I do think that Aston will have far advantage from straight line speed as opposed to the Janetta, but he is not close enough to make it count. Janeman, on the other hand, Mr. Price, oh jeez, I'm ruining his name, I'm so sorry. He's chasing down the KTM. So it's Merc versus KTM. KTM, in my opinion, will have a better advantage in the corner abilities. Well, not if he makes mistakes like that. There goes the 100-meter board out of smack. Steven did note that he made a mistake, stayed off track, allowed the Mercedes to continue. Didn't come back unnecessary. Pick these battles. Don't want to lose much, but that is one position up for Price. Ferrara still in the pits, and he probably is going to stay in the pits. Ooh, the Santos and Nail side by side action. This is good coming out of Parabolica. Nail took it on the inside. That BMW is going to come back at him for turn one. No two ways about it. Just look how he passes him. It just looks like that Janetta is absolutely standing still. And the BM just goes, thank you, Captain. I'll take that back any day. It's like a whole cheeky elevation of, you know what, you might have me on the corners, but you're never going to get me on the straight line. So I reckon for Nel to gain a position, he needs to continuously remain with the BMW throughout the remainder of the race, which is a good 12 minutes to go. Gonna go just below 11, but then do exactly what he did now in Parabolica. Take it on the inside line, have the advantage coming out of Parabolica, and up until the race finish line, he will be ahead. Because he is definitely not going to win it if he takes this car on, trying to hope straight line speed will prevail. Because clearly, he is looking like a car standing still down the start-finish line. More action everywhere else. Mole looking comfortable in 7th position. He just needs to manage it all the way through, not make any mistakes. Good points up for grabs. He's got a good 4-second buffer between himself and Duplessis. Then of course Kel van der Berg and the Mercedes are battling it out at this moment. Now Kel looks like he's got a bit of damage. That Porsche is not happy at all. Car number 8, Price with the Mercedes will take that for sure. You can see that Porsche is just not very happy. Takes a very, very wide line. Unable to turn. I do wonder where this has happened. Let's just see if we can pick it up somewhere down the track. So, oh, that looks like a big mistake occurred just out of Lesmo 2. Whether he went too wide and then hit the sidewall, that seems to be a definite. But he did lose control, and he is now losing positions as he's gone back into the pits. As we look at the boys in the front line, you can see Nel Bullion, close as what he was before, just doesn't have the ability to capitalize on the straight line speed. Again, we're going to go a bit forward in the next 10 seconds. back to Mayer as well. Now again, Mayer was one of the boys that qualified everyone else in front of the race. Had a bit of a, I would say, a doozy in the first few corners, but has managed to keep the Porsche open and out of trouble since then. And yes, it's 6th position, probably not what he would have wanted. I am fairly certain in his mind he would have loved to have a good run at Bauer, Porsche on Porsche action. Because that would have been a great battle. Now, as it continues on, these boys are getting closer to one another. Alan Patterson is slowly creeping in the line. Now, this is where the big action is. That Ginetta has no answer to the BMW, to the straight. Just look how close he gets. Like, that Ginetta's just got a better braking ability than what the BMW is. It's like all you would want to do is just take that wing off and have no wing. But I'm about 99% certain that if that car's running no wing, that it will be very unstable through the corners. That you do need a bit of stability through it. So probably a 1-2 wing for the Ginetta. So you can just see how good it is out of the corner. Ooh, as Nell makes a big mistake, that's gonna allow Alan Patterson to take the inside line. Loses the position. Patterson capitalizes as he always does. He's like an individual that just waits for someone to make a mistake and then he'll just go, yes sir, thank you for that, and move along. One more position gained. Biggest winner on positions gained at this stage is Duplessis, and then of course Kernick here, who's made 3 places up since their starting position. Now again, that is good results for them. Not going to take it away. Have your race, enjoy your race. Ooh, outbraked himself going in there into the second chicane. And back to the front back where we have the Santos, Alan Patterson, and now of course Nel Bullion battling it out with an Aston Martin. Now the question is, does that Aston Martin keep? Oh no, that's a vastly different result. I would have not expected that. It really looked like that Aston Martin struggled to have the straight line speed, as opposed to the Ginetta. Anyone that is on stream that knows how these cars work, which one is better, which one is faster, zero luck and major fun. That is Paul Fenter on the stream. Alvin Sykes also on there on the chat going, Gooi Skitter. Go Skitter, sorry, go Skitter. All going 2 by 20 minutes GT4. Again, I don't think he is racing this evening. It's like one of those events where we want to continue racing, but the Easter weekend, Easter holidays is just coming into play. People want to have a holiday, people want to have a break, so very few drivers on at the moment. But again, it's good to see some of the boys still willing to have a good fun, good bit of action with GT4s, a class of its own that isn't really broadcasted or raced in many leagues or events. Again, the favorite will predominantly be the GT3. I think it's about the same thing as talking about Formula 1 versus Formula 2. Everyone goes out to watch Formula 1, but very few actually spectate and follow Formula 2 racing. Up until the point one of the drivers makes name for himself and lands a seat in a Formula 1 seat, then we delve down the history books to understand where did this individual come from. little did we know that he raced in Formula 2, so kind of those quid pro quo scenarios. GT4s doesn't get enough love. I still believe GT4s provides the best close door-to-door racing as opposed to GT3s. Now, considering the event start this evening, we've had at Monza, again, lap 1, chicane 1, chicane 2, the ESs. Not that great, but in all fairness, fairly quite good. Now, we don't have a big packed grid this evening, but there's quite a bit of close racing. Alan Patterson is making his moves up the grid slowly but surely. You can see Nel Bullion is a bit unsettled at the moment. He's dropped a bit back, and he needed that. He needed to be close to the cars ahead of him in order to not lose the speed down the start-finish lines or the straights, because as we have seen, the Janetta is definitely not up there when it comes to straight line speed. Alan, on the other hand, is reeling in Chris De Santos. These boys are within 0.5 of each other. Mayer, on the other hand, there in the background. So again, good battle between the top 6. Does this Aston Martin have the legs to take that BMW on down the straight? It's a very wide exit there by the Aston. Does look like he lost a bit of momentum there out of Parabolica. Chris De Santos didn't even look in his rearview mirror, knew he had it the minute he entered and exited Parabolica. Didn't even have to go defensive at all. He knows the BMW has the speed advantage, and all he needs to do is put the car in the right spots at the right time. And back to the leader, the man that has led from the start of the race, qualified second, got the jump on Mayer and managed to maintain the lead. He now sits 4.3 seconds adrift from Skitter. BMW behind him. Porsche's very dominant in the GT4s. Still good to see a good mix of class type cars here. I don't think that BMW has got an answer for race 1. Might have an answer for race 2, because again, after this 20-minute race, we will definitely have a second 20-minute race. 2 back-to-back 20-minute races. Why would we want to punish ourselves for that? I have no idea. 35 seconds to go. The question is, will this be the final lap? I would probably doubt that. I think we've got one more up our sleeves. Auer wants another one. He is not holding back at all. That looks like one more lap for him. Leader on the final lap. Cuts the line. BMW needs to chase him. Chris De Santos has got a good buffer between himself and Alan Patterson at this moment. No Bullion in the Janetta, on the other hand, has lost about 2 seconds to Patterson. Mayer, on the other hand, even with a broken car, is slowly catching up No Bullion. So I reckon if we had another 15-10 minutes, we would have had another race up our sleeves. Mole in the McLaren coming down the start straight, trying to set his final lap. He's in 7th. He's been chased down by the Aston Martin R Duplessis in car number 7. And of course, Prius. Oh jeez, can I just call you Janneman? Okay, I'm just gonna go Janneman because I can pronounce that. And then Steven Kernick, Mr. Kernick himself, coming through Parabolica, final corner, one more lap to do. He's in 10th, that is big points to him. Definitely winning. Chris De Santos under a bit of pressure again by the Aston Martin. I don't think he's vaguely phased off that. Porsche leader of the race, through Ascari. Takes the curb, big on. Exit looks great, full on throttle. Pushes it through. Coming down the final straight into Parabolica. It's a beautiful exit there. Into the wind. Open the taps. Takes the victory. Flashing lights all the way through. That is a good race for you. Must love it through. Sean Skitter in second. Chris DeSantos in third, followed by Alan Patterson. Then, of course, we have the Ginetta there in fourth. Mayer, who had lots of incidents in the first lap, in sixth. Definitely not a bad race for him. And, of course, Mole in the McLaren coming through in seventh place. Duplessis in eighth. Janneman in the Mercedes in ninth, and then last but not least we have Steven Kernick in 10th, taking us through the final section. Just gonna look at that. I have to admit, just listen to that. That's just beautiful. Such a soft car. Great racing by everyone. First 20 minutes done and dusted. Let's see if we can just get some timetable. So those are the finishes of the race. Bauer, Schutter, DeSantos, Patterson, Bullion, Meyer, Mol, Duplessis, Janneman, Henrik, Van der Berg, Ferrara and Serrano did not finish it up, but nonetheless they gave it a big go at it. Let's hope everything goes to plan. We have one more 20-minute race to go. Again, reminder for everyone, the qualifying session was then of course Meyer, Bauer, Schutter, DeSantos, Patterson, Bullion, Serrano, Mol, Ferrara, Price, Duplessis, Cal van der Berg, Kernick, and then of course just an outsider here, P broadcaster. For everyone on stream, don't go away. We will be right back shortly after the break. back in the mix again. Round 2, race 2. Hope everyone had a lovely break. Of course, I can definitely guarantee you that I did. Um, Step back for a few seconds, got a bit of what we call administration sorted out in the mix. Nonetheless, you are definitely not on the stream to listen to my personal problems. So, race 1, eventful. Mayer, even though he had a few hiccups, I would probably say he had a phenomenal drive to finish off where he did, which was in 6th place. I reckon if he had another 20 minutes or so, he would have definitely been in a position to challenge for a podium, considering how it all started. I can definitely assure you he would not want to have a repeat of that. If I was the Simracing driver and I was that man and I had the same incidents again the second time around, I would probably throw the wheel out the window. And that's just, again, one of my personal problems. Being where we are, how we are, so for a good start again. It was not overly eventful, a few hiccups as I've already mentioned. I do know that this man over here in the Janetta has got a bit of work for him to do, because by the looks of it, I think every car around him would be in a position to challenge him for a race victory. That Audi was sadly taken out accidentally in race 1, so I reckon that Audi will come into play this time around. If these boys in the top 6 can keep it clean, keep it simple, T Ferrara in the Audi will potentially make himself felt and heard in the next race. Now again, as we all know, this is Monza. Monza might look like the easiest track on the books. I mean, let's have a squint look here. I'm still in drive mode. But just looking at the track itself, it's phenomenal straight. 2 3S corners, 3S type corners. Now of course it's chicane 1, chicane 2, then, well, not really a chicane, but it's turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. Then of course we have Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2, which is the 2 fast right-handers. And then of course you have the long awaited Ascari that can probably hurt you in the long run. And then of course the beautiful parabolica turn that allows you to go as fast as you can through the start finish line heading into another lap. So not a very technical track, but believe me, when you race the track, a 10th of a second feels like 5 seconds away from the car ahead of you. It is so hard to make that time up in that time frame. You have to play your cards right as these boys line up once again. Final 20-minute race for this evening here at Logistical Nightmare, Tuesday night GT4 madness. Now I'm going to stay quiet at this moment. It does look like Mayer has got a better drive as opposed to the first race, but again, it's good that they're in the BMW is back in the mix again. Now he does keep away a bit more this time. Oh, as Bauer goes in very deep, so does Nel Bullion. Bauer steps away, comes back again, and then loses plenty of positions. Now Bauer is the man that has got the Audi in front of him, not next to him. Nel Bullion also left a few positions open. Is he going to go for the inside? Ooh, not really. Back-to-back bumping. Porsche keeps it into grip. Aston Martin outbraked himself a little bit. Now we have a damaged Ginetta in the rear end, who then collided with the Porsche ahead of him. So these two boys made a big hiccup in the start of the race, missed their braking point, went behind it, decided to stay out of problems. Bullion, on the other hand, he's in big trouble at the present moment. He's got an Aston behind him and an Aston and a Mercedes, who is hungry to have a secondary good race. Can he keep them behind him? That's where the big question is. I reckon he's got the corner abilities to stay away from these boys, but I don't think he's got the straight line speed to manage that. Bauer, on the other hand, is the man that did win the first race. His small incident, not missing the brake point, managed to come back onto track. Now, in all fairness, he did come back onto the track, yielded the positions, allowed everyone to practically pass it. And I think that was giving away a lot. Like, he let Skutter pass, he let Patterson pass, he let Ferrara pass, he let the Santos pass. Like, a lot of individuals passed him. Big action there by the Audi. Look at him go. That Audi is quick. Side by side, turn one action. Great respect shown there between the Santos and Ferrara, though. That does bring up Alan Patterson to challenge for that position too. Can Ferrara get away while providing a bit of aid to Dos Santos? Dos Santos doesn't want to lose one more position. He reckons he's got enough pace to keep Patterson behind him as he outbrakes himself a little bit. Tags the rear end of the Audi though. No real damage in general. I can sense a bit of frustration, just the zen coming out of these boys. That Audi does look like he is very quick, but Dos Santos wants to make pace. Bauer wants to regain positions as well. He let a lot of individuals through. I think he's got the pace to take it. If he steps outside into a Ascari, does he have it? Ooh, not really. Yields at the moment. Puts it through. Big curb jump by him. Coming out of Ascari, that's going to throw a bit of momentum away from him. I don't know where to look this time around. This time around, there's plenty of action. BMW taking the inside line into Parabolica. Does he make it? He gets it through. Audi gets squeezed out of Parabolica. That's going to kill his momentum coming up the start-finish line. He might have enough tank in the juice to keep the Aston ahead. Question is for how long? This is side-by-side action. I reckon race 2 looks far better than race 1. Audi pulls out again. Is he going to stick it on the outside? Yes, he is. Takes the inside line. Oh, side-by-side action by those two boys. Audi loses out. The Santos goes ahead. Keeps his position. Now again, he was challenged for position. Two boys did make contact. Ferrara reckons he should have probably have that. It was just too quick for me. Ferrara losing a few more positions again. Does he stick it on the inside? No, he doesn't. Now, these boys are very brave in action. They all just want to throw their car in. Put it in there. I am there. Open the door. Bullion looking everywhere. Left, right, middle and center. I reckon he's got good pace to challenge for mid-race, but not enough for the straight line. Duplessis also in the mix there. He is now on the sail end. That does make the Audi go defensive into Ascari. Audi yields. No, it doesn't. Can that Aston Martin get a better exit through Ascari? They both look like they came out there fairly clean though. Oh, this is good action. This is where we want the racing. De Santos leading the pack. Alan Patterson being challenged there into Parabolica. Power. Reckon he has it. But not enough for the straight. Bullion, not enough for the straight. Ferrara, good speed in the Audi. I reckon these boys have done a few tweaks in their cars. Take a better wing away for the second race. Audi deep dives. Big dive by him. He's going to overshoot. Oh, Ferrara tagged in again. Janneman allows him to recapitalize. Oh, Aston Martin yielded as well. I don't know how to describe this. This is just absolutely unreal. Okay, so where do we sit at this stage? Now the Aston Martin did... Let's just go back into it. Because I really want to go and have a look. Go back. Audi takes a deep dive from a helicam point of view. Hops over, stops. Audi gets tagged and then slows down to allow the Audi to get that position back. Now I would reckon that is proper sportsman drive etiquette. Whether he thought that he was causing the Audi to lose control is probably what was in his head. But simultaneously, I don't believe that it was needed. I mean, yes, he overshot the corner and then closed the door on the Audi, not allowing for a side-by-side action into turn 1, turn 2. But I did not see the man going over the curbs or crossed the lines or actually left the track. So I reckon he could have kept the position. I think that's a big question for everyone on stream. Do you think that Mr. Duplessis could have kept that position, or was it the best approach of allowing Ferrara to get that position back again? Front of the race again. Now again we have got De Santos, Patterson and Bullion battling it out. This is not an unfamiliar sight. We have seen this before. Bauer on the other hand have dropped a few positions again. Don't know exactly what has happened to him. But again, the Audi has maintained a bit of a gap between himself and Duplessis. Duplessis on the other hand, he's got a bit of pressure there between Mole and Janneman. Takes the defending line into corner 3. Good exit there in 4. No real concern there, but that does put Mole under pressure. That gives Janneman the opening to go into. Did he wanted to? He did. He did look for that. Janneman wanted to stick his nose into Les 1 and Les 2. Decided not to. Again, for the greater good. Still reckons there's a bit of a race there. And now at the back of the race as well, we've got Kelvin-Abar and of course Kernick fighting it out for 11th and 12th position. Kel looks like the aggressor, not managing to make any headway today. These boys are battling it out for a podium spot. And then of course Bauer and Ferrara there in the Audi, close to one another. That Audi is very close. Is he going to hook on the inside into Parabolica? He is. That Porsche is going to take the wider line, not being phased at all. Might have a better exit than the Audi, depending on which individual went onto the throttle first. Ferrara, on the other hand, looks hungry, like he is aggressive. Not from a racing point of view, but he just looks like he's got the speed and pace. Bauer was the man that qualified quite well, and now he has his hands full with Ferrara. And not far from that, big battles here between Duplessis, Mole and Janneman. Mole making a move on Duplessis. At McLaren, beautiful move. Like, in all fairness, we gotta go back and check that out. Let's see if we can do this quickly. As the McLaren takes the inside line down the straight, closes the door on the Aston Martin, forces him to yield much quicker than what he was planning on doing so, and then taking the exit. Brilliant move down the straight though. That Merc definitely has a bit of speed up its sleeves. Skitter is up there. Okay, so I see Skitter. I am missing someone. DeSantos. What happened to DeSantos? Oh my goodness. DeSantos went off the radar. Let's just see where I can see what has happened. Seems to be before that. Helicam. Yeah, Chris has lost a few positions there. Now he's dropped 2 in all fairness. Now Bullion on the other hand is the man that capitalized on whatever mistakes did occur. Again, this is a replay. Just looking at Ferrara from a replay standpoint of view, he's still chasing down Bauer. You see Janneman and Chris still fighting it out. So I'm going to go to the front of the race. Where these boys would have exited Ascari already. How does that Janetta stay ahead of the BMW and the Aston? Oh, deep entry there by Nel Bullion. Now you probably need to slow down a bit. I can see aggressive headlights there by the Aston Martin going like you cannot do that. But again, opens the door up, lets the Aston Martin through, acknowledging the fact that, you know what, I made the mistake, went off track, I cannot hold the position. These boys are very nice to one another, huh? This is what racing's all about. Bauer, on the other hand, finally fighting it out there. These 3 boys are battling it out. This is Aston versus Merc versus McLaren. I think race 2 is far better than race 1. There is action everywhere. I can't even keep track anymore. So, can Duplessis pull away? I think he's got the speed. I think he's got the pace. But so does Moll. So does Janneman. These boys are on par today with each other. Very few incidents in race 2. Lots of action everywhere, and they are still in close contention. Ooh, there seems to be something that did occur. Let's just see if I can see that. Go back 30 seconds. Bauer and Ferrara. Now this is prior to Ascari. Everything looks nice and dandy. No issues up until this point. Bauer takes the inside line. Ooh, and so does Ferrara. He just gets such a good drive out of that first corner. How does he do that? And incidentally, tag the Porsche. That is a weird one. I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't look like it was meant to be. It just looks like, to me it looked like the Audi didn't brake going into Ascari, probably slid it, or wait, let me rephrase it. I think this occurred. So that Audi braked a lot earlier than what the Porsche did, which then allowed the Audi to probably get onto the throttle vastly quicker than the Porsche. Therefore, at that moment, they just came together. The one was on throttle, the other one was about to be on throttle, hence the collision. And the speed difference into Ascari occurred. Again, how do we figure that out? I still think that's a racing incident. It doesn't look like it was meant to be. It's just one of those momentary lapses in time. Now, of course, these 2 boys are battling it out. Patterson currently in a podium position. He got that position because Nel Bullion went too wide into turn 2. therefore allowing Patterson to take that position. Just didn't feel fair for him to keep the position, considering that he went so far off track, came back on track. But now I don't believe that he's got the pace to make a move stick. Does he? Janetta pulls up and then falls away. Every single time. Bauer and Ferrara again fighting it out. This is Bauer going defensive. Ferrara going a bit too hard on the curbs going through exit 1. That is a bit of a damaged Porsche. I reckon that Audi is not that damaged, but it did take a few knocks here and there in between the race as they started. So I don't think that Audi is fairly clean, but it might have more straight line speed as he sticks it on the inside. This is where the Porsche nudges him back. Tit for tat is where you go. You nudge me, I nudge you. Again, nothing wrong with that. This is a bit of door-to-door racing nonetheless. You can only get it right so many times, but that would frustrate Ferrara so much because I reckon he knows he's got the better car between them two, but Bauer is not going to make it easy for him. Mol on the other hand and Janneman are still battling it out there between themselves. Duplessis has dropped off a bit. He was ahead of these boys. I don't exactly know what has happened. Mol is having a great race between him and the individuals around him. Big battles there. There is Bauer and Ferrara fighting it out again, coming down the start-finish line. That Audi does look like it's got a better hand on straight line speed. Because again, as we've seen the replay not so long ago, that Porsche met the wall by accident. I would say by accident. Nothing concludes to me that it was anything other than that. Nel Bullion again. This doesn't have enough to take it. I reckon that Audi will have enough speed. Again, misses the brake marker and continues further on. Two boys, Mol makes the same mistake, outbrakes himself, has to go through the second off track. That opens it up for Janneman, who gets that position. I believe you will have enough pace now to create that gap. Duplessis now back into the mix here with him and Mol. Mol making another mistake again. Loses that position. He had such a good race up in there and has made two back-to-back mistakes into the S. Alan Patterson, Nel Bullion. Final few corners, 33 seconds, yeah? Still reckon we're gonna have another lap. These boys are very close to one another. Mayer down the start finish, 20 seconds. That's definitely going to be one more lap. Where do these boys finish up?
Leaders on final lap now.
You can see that Janetta wants to be there. Can it be there? I just don't believe it's got enough speed and pace. Just look at it now. Down the straight, Aston Martin on the wing. Gets close. And loses it all. Unbelievable. It really looks like that Janetta is standing still in the final sector of the race. Like it's just standing still. Just cannot make it happen. Again, still the final few moments. I don't believe Alan is the man that would make a mistake. I don't think he wants to go defensive as well, because I don't really believe there is a need for him to do so. Now Bullion had to avoid them. Again, that's only because that Janetta's got a far superior entry and exit speed as opposed to the Aston. Aston is a bit slouchy going out of corners at low speeds. That Janetta would be very quick. Like, he is probably smelling the exhaust fumes coming out there. Is he going to stick it on the inside? No, he's just not. He just knows that he doesn't have enough for it. Mayer, second time around. First race didn't go so great for him this time around. All clean and dandy. Takes it pole to pole. And the victory is him. Well done to his drive. He can be absolutely happy for that. Porsche takes the second win. Sean Skitter, who we haven't really talked about the whole race, is in second place. Happy days for this man again. Back-to-back podium. Alan Patterson, vice challenge, lost the position. Where did that happen? Nel Bullion gets the position and Alan takes fourth. I completely missed that. Chris Santos in first. Ferrara, who was in a few tumbles, in sixth. Bauer in seventh. Jarman in eighth. Duplessis at ninth. And of course, Mol and McLaren 10th. Van der Berg 11th. And then Steven Kernick bringing it back home in 12th. I reckon race 2 was absolutely far better than race 1. Yes, we had a bit of side-by-side action. Door-to-door fender benders. I don't care. That was phenomenal to watch. For all the boys that actually came out and raced today, that is a brilliant race on the second one. Thoroughly loved it. Again, this is race 1 positions. Race 2 we have Meyer, Skitter, Bullion, Patterson, Dos Santos, Ferrara, Bauer, Price, Duplessis, Mol, Van der Berg, Kernick, and then Serrano. To everyone on the stream, I probably did not pay much attention to you boys. To be fair, that was absolutely good fun. I hope you probably enjoyed it as much as I did. Hoping everything is still streaming the way it's streaming. Next week, on the other hand, where are we next week? I've got to go and have a look just before I sign off, because I will most certainly be back. Championships on the GT4 events where we have next week will be what is that? Nürburgring. So Nürburgring GT4s in 7 days. Same time, same place. For everyone else out there, this was fantastic. Catch you later. Have a good night. Have a good evening. Good night. God bless. Goodbye.
you.